MP.
Oral questions. Question orale. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, leaked military documents reveal that only a small number of Canadians will be vaccinated by March. It's no wonder the Prime Minister is hiding this information, because 100 million Americans will be vaccinated over the same period. The secrecy of this government is adding to the uncertainty and stress on families. So I'm asking a simple question. How many Canadians is this government planning to have vaccinated by the end of March?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, I think Canadians can be assured by the fact that Canada has been aggressive in putting together the most comprehensive vaccine portfolio in the world, with the most doses per capita in the world. And Mr. Speaker, four of those manufacturers have submitted to Health Canada for regulatory approval. We are reviewing those as quickly as possible using a rolling approach, and Canadians can be sure that when we approve a vaccine for use in Canada, it will be safe.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Aggressive, Mr. Speaker. The American program is called Warp Speed. The best this could be called would be Impulse Power, Mr. Speaker. Earlier this week, the Health Minister multiple times said the provinces are able to handle the vaccines. The same military report said that the provinces and Indigenous communities are not prepared with the infrastructure required for vaccinations. Premiers and First Nation leaders have been asking this government for a plan so that they can prepare. Why is this government waiting to the very last minute to provide a plan for provinces and First Nations across this country?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, for months now, we've been working hand in glove with provinces and territories to prepare for vaccination for Canadians. In fact, as the member opposite notes, 2 of the 7 vaccinations that potentially will be available here in Canada require significant logistical support, and we're so grateful to the military for providing that support. Rather than being a prop, as the member opposite mentioned in his news conference this morning, instead they are being an incredibly integral part of distributing vaccines to provinces and territories, ensuring through dry runs that provinces and territories are ready to receive them.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, an integral part for 6 days now. The military's own documents say they don't have the information we've been asking for, and it also says that vaccinations could end in the US and France 6 months ahead of Canada. The Prime Minister has said repeatedly it's not about when things start, it's about when they end. We now know that Canadians could face 6 extra months of lockdown, 6 extra months of seniors in isolation, 6 extra months before life can get back to normal. Does this government not realize if you don't have a plan to vaccine, you don't have an economic plan?
Yes.
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's this government that has known that actually health and economy are deeply intertwined, and that's why we've been so aggressive to support people and businesses and communities through this pandemic so that they can take the decisions to protect each other, so that they can protect their communities, they can protect the economy of Canada. And that's why, Mr. Speaker, we've worked also so aggressively on ensuring that we do have the most robust vaccine portfolio with options, Mr. Speaker, in case one vaccine is not successful or another one is indicated for different populations. Mr. Speaker, we're proud of the work we've done because Canadians can be assured they're well situated to get a vaccine.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister promised vaccines would be coming but didn't give us a date. The Minister of Health has given us potential dates. When the vaccines will arrive is uncertain because we don't know when they'll arrive, how they'll be distributed, and who will receive them first. When will the Prime Minister decide to tell Canadians the truth in order to reassure them? The Honourable Minister.
Member opposite had an opportunity to watch the tech brief today that happened for all Canadians, where we actually provided even more details on the planning and the preparation that's underway with provinces and territories to deploy vaccines when they become available. On Health Canada's side, Mr. Speaker, Dr. Sharma, who is the head of our regulatory body, said that they will be in a good position to provide a decision within 8 to 10 days or so. These are all good, promising signs, Mr. Speaker, that vaccination is on the way. I just want to thank Canadians for their optimism and their courage during this difficult time.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Mr. Speaker, we have two official languages, which are the foundation of linguistic duality in our country. French is on the decline, and this has sounded the alarm for Quebec and for Francophone minorities outside Quebec across the country. We want to have an answer on the modernization of the Official Languages Act and the application of Bill 101 to federally regulated businesses. When will the Prime Minister protect the French language? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And first of all, I'd like to tell the Leader of the Opposition that we have two official languages, and I'd like to clarify something. We are going to protect French. That's one of our priorities. But we're not just talking, we're taking action. What have we done over the past 5 years to protect both official languages? We have invested significant amounts into organizations across the country. We saved Radio-Canada CBC. We doubled the contribution to the Council of Arts. And we have appointed judges, bilingual judges, to the Supreme Court, something the Harper government always refused to do. The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Mr. Speaker, the unanimous assembly is unanimous. The government of Quebec is as well, and I think the majority of members in this House agree. The Charter of the French language should apply to businesses under federal jurisdiction in Quebec. Today, Quebec's civil society has added its voice. What doesn't the government understand? Everyone agrees. Everyone understands. What will it take for the government to wake up? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It goes without saying that we will protect the French language in Quebec and across the country. It goes without saying that we also acknowledge Bill 101. I live in Cartierville. I see it when I talk to children from across the world and who are in our elementary schools, secondary schools. Having said that, we are holding discussions with the Quebec government. Recently, I spoke to my
Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable Member for Steveston, please.
Yes, if you don't mind, please remind the honourable member that when she speaks in French, please switch to the French channel so that the interpretation would not be overlapping with her speech, because it's awfully difficult to hear the interpretation. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Je vais rappeler
I'd like to remind members, when you speak in a language, make sure that you're on that channel in the system. I'll allow the Minister to continue. Please continue, Minister. Yes, well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I was saying, we are here to protect the French FAC in Quebec and across the country. We are in discussion with the Quebec government. We are looking at their legislation to review the Charter of the French language. The Honourable Member. No action, no tangible action. The Mayor of Quebec, the Mayor of Gatineau, Lévis, Laval, the Mayor of Montreal, the Mayor of Longueuil, union leaders, the Union of Artists, agriculture producers, MPs, former ministers. Everyone is asking for it. There's a united front, to use the expression from a Montreal newspaper. Saying no at this point means saying no to the entire province. Will the government finally stop harming the French language in Quebec and apply Bill 101 to federally regulated companies? That's what we're asking for. The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, we are an ally for Francophones, and since the start of our mandate, we have shown that. We have taken steps beyond words, be it by saving Radio-Canada CBC from cuts, Radio-Canada, which helps in Quebec. We have helped our artists to produce content. We doubled the budget for the Conseil des Arts. We saved the Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu Military College for training in French. That's what we've done. We will continue to support Francophones. The Honourable Member for Burnaby South. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, we need to establish the priority list for COVID-19. And that was said because the Liberal government missed the boat. We don't have enough vaccines to vaccinate our most vulnerable people, seniors, people above the age of 70. Will the Prime Minister admit that he did not do what he should have, he failed to do so, and why is he not protecting the most vulnerable? The Honourable Minister of Health.
As I've said repeatedly in this House, in fact, quite the opposite. We've aggressively purchased vaccines, Mr. Speaker. 7 of the most promising candidates in our portfolio, the best portfolio in the world, more doses per capita than any other country, Mr. Speaker. He talks about prioritization. That work has been done at the national level. Of course, provinces and territories will further refine their prioritization. And, Mr. Speaker, we are confident that when a vaccine is approved for use in Canada, we will be able to deploy.
The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
It would give Canadians more confidence if you would accept if the government would accept the facts. Dr. Tam has said that she has to refine the list, the priority list for those who receive the COVID-19 vaccine. The reason why she said that is very clear. We do not have enough vaccine to cover everyone who needs it most. We certainly don't have enough vaccine in the first round to cover all seniors over the age of 70. So will the Prime Minister admit that he did not do his job to ensure there was enough vaccine in the first round for people who need it most?
Honourable Minister.
On the contrary, Mr. Speaker, as I've said repeatedly, we have been aggressive in our purchasing of vaccines. In fact, we've been noted around the world for having most doses per capita in Canada expected here. And as the member opposite knows, we are working with partners, provincial and territorial, to ensure that people get vaccinated with the goal of stopping the spread and saving lives. That's what's happening, Mr. Speaker. It's happening through planning. It's happening through practice runs. As of yesterday, provinces and territories participated in a dry run. Mr. Speaker, when a vaccine is approved here in Canada, we'll be ready to go.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk Interlake Eastman.
Mr. Speaker, on November 19th at Public Accounts Committee, government officials denied the existence of a named operation for COVID vaccine distribution. They told the committee that the armed forces had not been tasked with doing any vaccine rollout at all. But now, leaked documents show the government finally tasked our military with exactly that rollout, but only on November the 27th under Operation Vector. Why did this government wait till the final hours before calling in the military to clean up their mess?
Honourable Minister.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And maybe if my word isn't good enough, he would take Major Fortin's word, who cleared that up today at the media conference and indicated that, in fact, the military has been integrated in our response from the very beginning. In fact, Major Fortin pointed to the integration of military personnel in PHAC for months. And in fact, we're very grateful for the Canadian Armed Forces, not just in the vaccine deployment, but certainly for the support in long-term care homes in the spring.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk Interlake Eastman.
Well, Mr. Speaker, this Liberal government has known for months vaccines were coming, but they failed to make any plans to roll them out. And now the military is being sent in to pick up the pieces at the very last minute. But the armed forces still need more information from the Liberals, but all they get is radio silence. Basically, the military is being asked by our government to build a plane while flying it. Will the Defence Minister provide more resources to our Canadian Armed Forces and guarantee they can roll out vaccines without compromising core operations?
The Honourable Minister.
And Mr. Speaker, I have confidence in General Vance and the many people leading the Canadian Armed Forces that they can manage their responsibilities appropriately. That is not for me to say, Mr. Speaker, but I am grateful for the Canadian Armed Forces, not just now, but certainly during the spring when they leapt into action to protect seniors' lives in long-term care homes. They are logisticians by trade, Mr. Speaker. They are helpful in helping plan with provinces and territories how best to get, especially these fragile vaccines, in place and ready to deploy. And Mr. Speaker, Canadians can be grateful and confident that the Canadian military is helping in this important task.
The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, when we ask questions here in the House, the answer we get is listen to the technical briefings. But we've listened to the technical briefings, and what we know is that less than 10% of Canadians will be vaccinated by the end of March. Now, there have also been designated priority groups. I'd like to know from the minister, how many people are in those groups, and will there be enough vaccines to vaccinate all of them? The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, every step of the way we've worked with provinces and territories to make sure that we can deploy vaccines successfully. In fact, yesterday there was a dry run held with provinces and territories to identify gaps in the plan and strengthen them before the vaccine is approved and arrives on Canadian soil. I can tell Canadians with confidence that when a vaccine is approved for safety here in Canada, we'll be ready to deploy.
L'honorable député de Sherbrooke.
The Honourable Member. Well, Mr. Speaker, we always get the same answer. There is no answer. Now, we've asked several times why our allies would have the vaccines faster than Canada, that Canada would only get them or by the end of March. We haven't gotten any answers. I believe that the Prime Minister doesn't know where he's going, or perhaps he doesn't want to answer. But this is an issue that is a federal issue, not the provinces. Can the Prime Minister tell us? Can he share with us his plan for the distribution of vaccines to Indigenous communities and to members of the Canadian Armed Forces?
Mr. Speaker, let me read General Vance's quote. He said, "We are as well poised as any country, and when the vaccines arrive, we'll be able to support the federal, provincial, territorial rollout plans. The actual logistics of rolling it out, we're in the same positions that our allies are in." And what that says, Mr. Speaker, is that the military has been working with Public Health Agency of Canada. He's been working with our teams. He's been working with Canadians, with provinces and territories. Let me just say this, Mr. Speaker. Canadians can be confident, they can be optimistic that Canada's at the front of the line, and we'll make sure as soon as a vaccine is safe that we can deploy it.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
So at today's technical briefing that was supposed to give Canadians some clarity on vaccine rollout, one of Canada's top public health officials said the following: "I think we shouldn't be so obsessed with the delivery of the vaccines themselves, the dates, and so on." Really? Does the minister think that families with family members in long-term care facilities shouldn't be so obsessed with, the details of the delivery of the vaccine?
Honourable Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, we have utmost confidence in the public health experts, the scientists, the researchers, the logisticians that are helping not only to deploy vaccines, but to get us through this pandemic every step of the way. Unlike the opposition party, we have confidence in public health officials. We have confidence in public health guidance, and we certainly have confidence in vaccination. And Mr. Speaker, we're going to be there for Canadians with optimism, with courage, and with planning. And Mr. Speaker, Canadians can be confident that when a vaccine is safe for use in Canada, we can deploy.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
So yesterday, the Premier of Alberta said that they would be receiving vaccines on January the 4th. But today, the same public health official that I just quoted refused to confirm that, and in fact said, "I think we shouldn't be so obsessed with the delivery of vaccines." I can't believe this. It's ridiculous. We are seeing other countries around the world deliver these vaccines today. And yet we have no details about this. And the government's like, "Oh, just be optimistic. Just trust us." When are Canadians who are obsessed with getting this information going to be able to get a vaccine?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians expect that whatever we deploy in terms of vaccines in Canada will be safe for Canadian use, and that's why I am so proud of our gold standard regulators. In fact, Mr. Speaker, around the world, countries look to Canada for approval of vaccines, of drugs, of medical equipment, because you know why, Mr. Speaker? Because of the integrity of our system. So Canadians can be confident when a vaccine is approved for use here in Canada, A, it's safe, and B, we're ready to deploy.
L'Honourable.
The Honourable Member for Joliette. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The National Assembly is unanimous. The government of Quebec is asking for it, the provinces are asking for it, and yesterday the House voted in favour of it, even the Minister of Agriculture. Health transfers must be increased significantly and sustainably before the end of 2020. And yet the government still refuses. It's no longer a question of stubbornness, it's hindering action. Will it listen to the will of the House as expressed clearly yesterday and increase health transfers?
L'Honourable Ministre.
The Honourable Minister.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, my colleague knows full well that we are working closely with all provinces, and of course, that includes Quebec. We are collaborating with them on many levels and have been since before the pandemic, and we will continue to work with them. On December 10th, there will be a meeting that will be held, and a number of issues will be discussed. The Honourable Member for Joliette. Mr. Speaker, health transfers mean more money for our long-term care facilities. Health transfers mean the ability of Quebec and the provinces to hire healthcare workers. Now we're talking about doctors, nurses, orderlies, specialists, ambulance attendants, paramedics. Transfers are about sending a signal to the world that we want people to have good care. What's the problem with that? What's the Liberals' problem with that? Beats me, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Minister.
Provinces and territories since the beginning of this pandemic with historic amounts of funding, including $24 billion in transfers for things like personal protective equipment, testing, contact tracing, data, long-term care, mental health supports. Mr. Speaker, we'll continue to be there for Quebec. We'll work with the provinces every step of the way.
The Honourable Member for Joliette. Mr. Speaker, the government wants to impose pan-Canadian standards on long-term care facilities that are under Quebec's jurisdiction. Well, it imposes them on federal long-term care facilities, but there aren't any. How? Well, maybe it's not federal standards that provinces need. What they need are transfers to help deal with the crisis. The parties have understood that here, except for the Liberals. Why are they refusing to transfer the money that everybody's asking for to support our long-term care facilities? What's the problem? The Honourable Leader of the Government. Well, our seniors are not a matter of jurisdiction. It's not a line in the Constitution. It's not a paragraph. These are people who, Mr. Speaker, since the start of the pandemic have needed our help. They are trying to pick a fight, the Bloc Québécois. Why don't we look at how we can work together instead of, alongside the Bloc Québécois? Why don't we look at how we can help seniors across the country? The Honourable Member for Louis Saint-Laurent. Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives have recognized that French is fragile and needs to be supported. And that one of the first things our leader said was that Bill 101 has to apply to federally regulated companies. The mayors of the 6 largest cities in Quebec agree with that position. Everyone agrees, except the Liberal government. Why is the Liberal government afraid of applying Bill 101 to federally regulated corporations? The Honourable Minister. Well, when I listen to my colleague, I see his good faith, but in reality, the Conservative government never recognized the importance of French for the government when it was in power. When we look at the cuts to Radio-Canada, when we look at the fact at what they've done in other areas, so many cuts for organizations that defended French across the country, well, we really must wonder what we have questions about their good faith. The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable. Quebecers are speaking with one voice, the official opposition, the National Assembly, the low government, the mayors of all the major cities, agriculture and labour organizations. They're all calling for the application of Bill 101 to companies under federal jurisdiction. The Prime Minister is more and more isolated. He talks a lot, but he refuses to take action. My question for the Prime Minister, and I'm quoting a letter in the newspaper this morning, does he agree that, quote, Quebecers must be able to work in their own language, French, and that Quebec legislation must apply to the entire territory of Quebec? Yes or no? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the Conservatives. I'd like to congratulate the Conservatives for their newfound interest in protecting and promoting French. For the first time, now they've talked about the importance of supporting French in Quebec. This is historic, Mr. Speaker. All members, not just from Quebec, all members of the Liberal Party agree to strengthen French in Quebec through our institutions, through everything that we can, with the help of the minister, so that French is in a stronger position today, tomorrow, and in the future. The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable. I didn't hear them admit that they were going to be applying Bill 101 to federally regulated businesses, or that they were going to modernize the Official Languages Act before Christmas. In addition, they can't even enforce the Official Languages Act, with the message that's being sent to Quebec today, how can the Prime Minister explain that the President of the Treasury Board sends out messages in English, that Zooms are in English, Zoom meetings, and that there is no linguistic analysis of the We Charity file? I ask the Prime Minister again, will he call to order the President of the Treasury Board and apply Bill 101 to its own department? The Honourable Minister.
Monsieur le Président, c'est sûr que j'ai beaucoup.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to remind my colleague, for whom I have a great respect, that the Minister of Revenue is a unilingual francophone. So that's a first point. Secondly, I want to reassure him that the Official Languages Act is very important. It must apply in spirit and letter. And that's why it needs to be modernized. We need to strengthen our obligations. We acknowledge that French is declining. We will protect it, and we will modernize the Act.
For Churchill, Kiwatnut ASCII.
Mr. Speaker, Shamattawa First Nation is now at a COVID test positivity rate of 50%. 50%. 106 confirmed COVID cases, a TB spread, overcrowded housing, and isolation. This is an unfolding nightmare. I appreciate that the Minister of Defense is aware and responding, but this situation is getting worse by the hour. Will the government ensure that every possible step is taken to save the lives of the people of Shamattawa First Nation?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, absolutely. I'll be speaking to Chief Redhead later today to help support and be on hand to combat and prevent further spread of COVID-19. A rapid response team has been deployed as well with Blue Med shelters that have been in operation since last week. We'll remain in active communication with the community and stand ready to provide additional support, including CAF as needed, and we'll be there for them and the community of Shamattawa. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Edmonton Strathcona.
Mr. Speaker, patients in ICUs in Alberta are being forced to share rooms. The use of oxygen is being limited, and now the Red Cross has been called in and field hospitals are being set up. Field hospitals in Edmonton, in Canada. Yesterday, the Ontario Health Minister defended the Ford government by saying at least they aren't as bad as Jason Kenney. Conservatives are failing Canadians, but so are Liberals. Canadians are depending on the federal government to show leadership and share a plan with the provinces. When will they?
Honourable Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, every step of the way we've been there for provinces and territories to deliver on their health care responsibilities, and it'll be no different with Alberta. I spoke with Minister Shandro last night and offered him a variety of supports in addition to the field hospitals that he is asking for. But let's be clear, Mr. Speaker, this demonstrates how deadly of a disease this is and how we all have to work together and adhere to public health measures that keep us safe.
The Honourable Member for Toronto Centre.
Mr. Speaker, gun and gang violence is a lived reality for far too many people in Canada, including residents in my riding of Toronto Centre. And I have heard concerns from constituents, many of them parents mourning their own children, that we need to provide essential resources for prevention, for diversion and exit programs. Can the Minister of Public Security and Emergency Preparedness please update this House as to what additional measures our government will be providing to cities and marginalized communities to keep them safe from this violence?
Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank my colleague from Toronto Centre for this very important question and welcome her voice to this very important discussion. And for far too many Canadians and communities across Canada that have been traumatized by gun violence. And Mr. Speaker, we're taking action. And as we announced just this week, our government will be investing $250 million to municipalities and marginalized communities to support community-based programs aimed at prevention, diversion, and to support those seeking to exit gangs. Mr. Speaker, this will complement the $327 million that's been provided to provinces to support law enforcement, the significant investments we've made at the border, and our ongoing efforts to strengthen gun control. We welcome the support of mayors such as John Tory and Naheed Nenshi for this essential funding as we work together to keep our communities safe.
Member for Carleton.
Des dénonciateurs courageux.
Courageous whistleblowers in the public service call the media to warn them of literally terrifying expenditures. Other officials called the media to say that they'd been ordered to send out checks even in cases where fraud was suspected. And now, suddenly, the Deputy Minister of Finance has resigned the day after the economic statement. The Deputy Minister of Finance, did he resign suddenly because he is also terrified of this government's uncontrolled spending? The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, first of all, let me thank the Deputy Minister Rochon for his years of service across different governments. But I want to turn my attention to the argument the honourable member has made. This morning, he distastefully compared our government's emergency measures to a rich kid smoking drugs on his parents' money. The reality is the programs we have advanced have gone to protect the lives of Canadians and to ensure that households and businesses could survive this pandemic. The fact is we have to do everything as long as it takes, as much as it takes, to get Canadians through this pandemic. If that member takes an opposite view and disagrees with that fundamental tenet of our approach, I look forward to seeing a Liberal MP representing the good people of Carleton after the next election.
The honourable member for Carleton.
Well, they tried that 6 times in a row, and 6 times in a row they failed. So apparently the people of Carleton don't agree with the member. And no, I was talking about this government being like a spoiled brat inheriting a great fortune from the earlier government, which left them a great balance sheet, one that they have worked hard to blow as the time has gone by. But since that time, we have public servants saying they're literally terrified of this government spending. And now the sudden resignation of the Deputy Minister of Finance the day after the economic update. Is he too terrified of the out-of-control spending of his own government?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, 7th time may be the charm. Canadians do not want to have politicians who've been on taxpayer-funded salaries for 6 election cycles tell them that the government has been spending too much to make sure that their kids can eat and keep a roof over their heads. Mr. Speaker, if the honourable member is concerned of the cost of doing too much, I would ask him to consider the cost of doing too little. If we failed to extend the supports that Canadians need during this emergency, we would have seen more of our family members perish, we would have seen more Canadians lose their jobs, and we would have seen more businesses closed permanently. That is not an outcome that our government will accept, and I would encourage the honourable member to give his head a shake and get on board with the program.
The honourable member for Regina Louvain.
Mr. Speaker, this Prime Minister made a campaign photo op stop at Everestdale just last year. He looked members of USW 5890 square in the eyes and told them, "I have your back." Now, 591 of those workers will lose their jobs on December 17th, just a week before Christmas. They will be looking through the Help Wanted ads instead of enjoying Christmas with their families. What does the Prime Minister have to say to these 591 families that he has turned his back on?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the member for the question. We have been there for workers and families from the very beginning in 2015, but since the pandemic, let's look at some of the measures we've put in place. The emergency response benefit, 9 million Canadians have access to this benefit. The wage subsidy to help keep the relationship between workers and employers strong. For federally regulated employees, unprotected leave, because we know it's not only the financial support, it's also ensuring jobs are there. And we've made it easier to access by waiving the medical certificates and keeping workers safe with investments in health and safety. We are always going to be there for Canadian workers and families.
The honourable member for Regina Louvain.
Mr. Speaker, the 591 families don't want CERB, they want a job. 4 jobs are created in Regina for every 1 job it ever has. This is devastating for Regina's local economy and is a direct result of anti-energy bills C-48, C-69, and the Liberals' ever-increasing carbon tax. These layoffs are not an unintended consequence. They are a desired outcome. The Prime Minister promised to phase out our energy sector, and apparently this is the one promise he intends to keep. When will this government stop attacking Western Canadian families?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm here. Mr. Speaker, 1 in every 3 workers in mining, oil and gas, that was how many workers were able to stay in their jobs thanks to the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy. That's tens of thousands of families in Alberta. in Saskatchewan and in Newfoundland and Labrador who continue to be able to go to work and put food on the table thanks to this Liberal government. In the fall economic statement, we announced we would maintain and expand this crucial program to keep Canadians working. So the question for the opposition is, will they support oil and gas workers, and will they vote in favor of our fall economic statement? Thank you.
The member for Abitibi-Témiscamingue. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Quebecers learned last week that the government was unable to tell us when vaccination would start. We know that millions of doses have been reserved, but we don't know where Canada stands on the reservation list or how many countries are on that list. So how many vaccines will we get by March? My question is this: will there be enough vaccines at the beginning of March for healthcare professionals and for vulnerable persons? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We have the best vaccine portfolio in the world with more doses per capita than any other country in the world. And Mr. Speaker, we've been working closely with experts, researchers, scientists, and in fact, listening to the advice of the National Advisory Committee on Immunization. They have provided general guidelines for the country. Of course, provinces and territories will take those guidelines and refine them in their own jurisdictions. Mr. Speaker, when a vaccine is safe for use in Canada, we will be ready to deploy.
The member for Abitibi-Témiscamingue. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, we're asking very simple questions everybody is asking. We need answers. And the only thing we're getting, though, is ridiculous political spin, which is not reassuring. So I just want a simple answer. Can the government assure us that there will be enough doses at the beginning of March to vaccinate the elderly, healthcare workers, essential workers, and members of the most vulnerable communities, such as Indigenous people, as called for by Theresa Tam, the head of the Public Health Agency of Canada? Well, there's one thing I agree with, is that the Bloc asks so many questions. It's the only party that says, vote for us and we'll ask questions. Well, that's basically what they're doing. That's basically what they're all about. Whereas us, we're signing agreements with companies that produce vaccines. We've signed so many of those agreements. We're working with the provinces to distribute those vaccines as quickly as possible to as many people as possible. When the vaccines are ready, we will be ready too.
Saskatoon University.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We keep seeing the results of short-term thinking from this government. Every announcement seems to be designed for the photo op with no real plan for actual follow-through. A for announcement, F for actual follow-through. Liberal MPs are now sharing a graphic that brags about their vaccine plan. It's really simple. You'll get the vaccine when it's ready. Canadians want details, and 8 months into this, there's no reason why they shouldn't have it. Mr. Speaker, where is our detailed plan?
Well, Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, every step of the way we've been transparent with Canadians, sharing information, helping them get through this pandemic, whether it's with resources, whether it's with information, and now with plans for the vaccination plan. As the member opposite knows, vaccinations are delivered by provinces and territories, and the federal government is supporting them in their healthcare obligations by ensuring that we can supply the logistics to get those vaccines in place in provinces and territories, that we have a plan. Yesterday, we stress tested that plan with provinces and territories. Mr. Speaker, Canadians can be optimistic that when a vaccine is ready, we will be ready to deploy.
The honourable member for Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes, Brock.
Mr. Speaker, Oscar Wilde once said, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery that mediocrity can pay to greatness. We, I must say, Speaker, are quite flattered that the Liberals adopted the Conservative leader's proposal to increase the child care benefit. Perhaps the Liberals can embrace another novel idea: getting Canadians access to a COVID vaccine. While Canadian families make plans, unfortunately, to spend Christmas away from their loved ones, can the Prime Minister tell this House on what date will Canadians have access to the COVID vaccine?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the honourable member for the question. Mr. Speaker, we are working hard to make sure that Canadians will be able to get a vaccine when the time comes. Work is already underway with the provinces, the territories, and the military to create a distribution plan so Canadians can get vaccinated. Our approach, Mr. Speaker,
has always been informed by science and evidence, and this is no different. Working with experts like the National Advisory Committee on Immunization and other public health experts, we will make sure that Canadians are safe from COVID-19.
Honourable member for Chilliwack Hope.
Nearly 600 steelworkers at Evraz will lose their jobs just before Christmas. These well-paying union jobs support families and help build their community, and the government insults them by telling them they should just collect EI or be grateful for the CERB. They talk a big game when it comes to standing up for workers, but they refuse to support the nation-building energy projects that keep them employed and put food on their tables. Why has this government helped to phase out 600 members of United Steelworkers Local 5890 by failing to stand up for the projects that they help build and working against the energy sector that they rely on?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me be very clear. I mean, the opposition can keep asking time and time again about why we fail to support the energy sector. Let me remind members in this House that the wage subsidy covered the wages of roughly half of the employees in the oil and gas industry for untold months. We will continue to be there for that sector, and we will continue to look at ways in which we can lower emissions, in which we can make sure that workers are looked after, and that the competitiveness of this sector is uppermost in the minds of Canadians. It is our biggest export, oil and gas. It is one of the most important industries in this country. It must be treated as such. We have done so in this federal economic statement.
Full member for Sydney Victoria.
Mr. Speaker, today is a historic day for Indigenous people. 13 years ago, the United Nations General Assembly voted to adopt the United Nations Declarations on the Rights of Indigenous People. Many scholars across several nations, including my father, Saga Youngblood Henderson, worked for decades on the UN Declaration. Will the Minister of Justice update the House on the Liberal government's commitment to introduce a bill on UN Declaration before the end of 2020?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the honourable member from Sydney, Victoria for his question. And I also honour his father, the great Professor Sackage Henderson, for his scholarship and his leadership in the training of young Indigenous lawyers, particularly at the Native Law Centre in Saskatchewan. Today, Mr. Speaker, in partnership with Indigenous peoples, we have taken another step on our shared path of reconciliation. Building on former private member's Bill C-262, the Romeo Saganash Bill, we have introduced legislation to implement the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. The Declaration affirms the rights of Indigenous peoples, self-determination, self-government, equality, non-discrimination. It's an essential part of building a more just and fair Canada for the future.
The Honourable Member for Kootenay, Columbia.
Mr. Speaker, the use of fentanyl and street drugs is on the rise, while the measures designed to prevent the overdoses is on the decline. Lack of oversight will contribute to the greatest increase in deaths since the highest peak of the opioid crisis. This is a serious public safety concern for Indigenous communities like the Shuswap, where they continue to be disproportionately affected. Mr. Speaker, will the minister commit to providing funding and work with the Shuswap to help address the opioid crisis?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member for the very important question. The opioid crisis is the most significant public health issue in Canada's recent history, and our hearts are with all of those who have lost a loved one. We have responded, Mr. Speaker. We've invested over $425 million in emergency responses, restoring harm reduction, improving over 40 supervised consumption sites, cutting red tape, removing barriers to treatment. We will continue to tackle this epidemic by expanding access to safe supply of prescription opioids, committing over $700 million towards treatment in the next decade. And Mr. Speaker, we will continue to fight the stigma around opioids.
The member for Bellechasse, Les Etchemins, Lévis. In the Liberal economic statement, there was nothing for shipbuilding workers, yet our Navy desperately needs a modern icebreaker to protect Canada's sovereignty in the Arctic. Mr. Speaker, the time has come for the Liberals to award the Diefenbaker contract. What are they waiting for? The contract has lain dormant. They should finally award that contract before Christmas. The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker. We have a good partnership with two great shipyards in Canada, and a third one is coming. We're negotiating that right now. We're negotiating with Davie, so it becomes the third shipyard, something the member opposite was unable to do when they were in power because they completely ignored, shunted aside the Davie shipyard by awarding contracts to the other two Canadian shipyards. They have no lessons to give us in the area of shipbuilding, and we will keep on making sure that vessels are on the water.
Speaker, the strength and well-being of our Canadian tourism economy depends on international visitors coming to Canada. In this age of COVID, it will also depend on international visitors arriving safely and in good health. Rapid testing is desperately needed in this country. Other countries are light years ahead in rapid testing, but Canada lags far behind because of this Liberal government's slow actions and incompetence. Mr. Speaker, as the U.S. and European nations take actions to reduce their quarantine periods and deploy rapid testing devices, when will this government finally catch up?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the honourable member for the question, but I will reject the premise of the question because we've already delivered over 5.5 million rapid tests, over 2 million to Ontario, 1.3 million to Quebec, over 600,000 to BC, almost 600,000 in Alberta. Mr. Speaker, we get that testing is one of the most important tools that we have to respond to COVID-19, and our officials are working around the clock to review and approve new testing technologies all the time. We've already authorized 6 of these tests, and we can expect more as the technology develops.
The honourable member for Beaches, East York.
Mr. Speaker, no community in Canada should be without access to clean water. I understand that we've lifted over 60% of long-term advisories on First Nation reserves since 2015, and that short-term advisories have been reduced to 10. But I also understand that we won't see all long-term advisories lifted by March 2021, as we had promised. There are a few issues more urgent. So when does the government now expect to see all advisories lifted?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what I would like to say to all Canadians is that we are not backing away from our commitment to ending all long-term drinking waters advisories for First Nations on reserve, but instead making a more profound commitment for the long term. Yesterday, we announced over $1.5 billion to accelerate and access to clean water in the short term and ensure stability in the long term, something that communities demanded of us. While we cannot underestimate the impact of COVID-19 on the long-term drinking water timelines, we are confident that by spring 2021, the number of communities under long-term drinking water advisories will amount to 12. Thank you.
The honourable member for Skeena-Bulkley Valley.
Mr. Speaker, during their 5 years in government, the Liberals have allowed the levels of climate pollution in Canada to remain as high as ever. Their economic update on Monday promised only more delays and half measures. For instance, no money for permanent transit funding, and their home retrofit program is a copy and paste from Stephen Harper. Mr. Speaker, in their throne speech in September, the Liberals promised a climate plan immediately that would exceed Canada's Paris commitments. Will we see that plan by the end of this year?
The Honourable Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank my honourable colleague for his question. Our government committed to exceeding our Paris target and getting Canada to net zero emissions by 2050. We've already put together the most comprehensive plan, Mr. Speaker, which will see the biggest emissions reduction in Canadian history, but we know we have more work to do. We have said we would announce a new target before the next COP, and we still plan on doing so. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Fredericton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On April 6th of this year, UN Women issued a statement calling violence against women and girls the shadow pandemic. Last week, the Minister for Women and Gender Equality said, and I quote, "The issues of sexual violence and gender-based violence will not be solved easily. It will take generations of work." We don't have generations, Mr. Speaker, to address this crisis. Every day that passes equates to the well-being and the lives of more women being put at risk, that girls are growing up in a world where they are still not safe. I believe that our generation has the power to put an end to gender-based violence. Does the Minister?
Honourable Minister.
House, the Prime Minister and the leader of every party stood up and unanimously agreed that misogyny, sexism, and the need for supporting feminism has to be at the center of this country's response to addressing and preventing gender-based violence. That progress didn't happen naturally. It didn't happen on its own, nor did it happen easily. It happened because generations before us pushed for this change. We are here now, Mr. Speaker. We have made tremendous progress over the past 5 years, but every time that a woman or a child experiences violence is one too many. We will work to prevent this from happening and ensure survivors have the supports they need to heal. Bravo.